Ladies and gentlemen, we are at it again, and make sure you join us today as we have our new podcast. Join us with Timothy and Gina as we discuss drugs and war. Thank you so much for being with us and sticking with us. And remember, you are not alone.
Yo, 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 yo. Hello. Guess who's back? Let's just pause for a minute. It is the Recovering Addict. My name is Rich. I am a recovering addict.
This is Brandon, and I'm a recovering addict. How you guys doing?
Come on, man.
What's up?
Get with the flow, man. Get with the flow. Let's pick things up. Let's pick it up.
What's happening,
guys?
Let's
do this thing right now.
It's been what? 3 weeks. What's happening, guys? Really, really glad to be back after a 3-week break, and we would so love it if you guys would subscribe to our YouTube channel. We eventually do want to get on YouTube as another medium for streaming. So we need to get ourselves over 1,000 followers. Please help us out with that. So please subscribe, hit that subscribe button, make it your friend and your lover, and we will see you soon.
Yes, it is so good to be back. What? How long has it been, bro? 3 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
Actually, we had a good show a couple of weeks ago. People have probably hadn't seen that. What is it? The what was it?
Mental health. Yeah.
Yes.
It was just audio, but that was
we gotta leave
down to the real and raw.
Yeah, and we have been we've been working our asses off, trying to get ready for the new year, prepare for new shows, new ideas and stuff like that. So I guarantee you guys, we weren't just sitting here picking our fingernails and watching movies. Well, we were watching movies, but we weren't picking our fingernails. And we were definitely getting you guys ready. We're trying to get ourselves ready to put some stuff out there that is going to enlighten you about this addiction and about this mental health discussion that we always have. We've been having it for the past 2.5 months, and we thank you guys so much for joining us, for being with us. It is very what's the word am I looking for, Brandon? It is so wonderful that you guys watch us and want to be a part of our, I don't want to say movement, but be a part of our recovery and be a part of this, movement that we're doing, I guess, in regards to the recovering addict. So I'm just boasting. I am boasting on the recovering addict. I'm boasting on our audience. I am boasting on what we're doing. And we've got a good show for you guys today. It's called Drugs and War. And we are not veterans. I think we should have done this show like a month and a half ago on Veterans Day. But it's okay. It is okay. This show is called Drugs and War, and we have a couple of special guests that we are going to bring in, and we're going to talk about PTSD and how it runs adjacent with addiction. And we're going to talk about a couple of different ideas that people, this young lady has came up with that is helping recovering addicts. And we got a veteran that's going to be on the show today too, and he's going to share his story with us. So stick with us, guys. Thank you guys for joining us today. As a matter of fact, I think
I do want to say one thing if I can.
Oh man, no, you can't. No, you cannot. You cannot say
no. Yeah, right, exactly.
Go ahead.
Y'all don't even know what that means, do you? No, I just wanted to say this, what we're about to jump into with Gina, she's basically created this movement to help, it's called Vets with Pets. Yeah. And it's about guys that are, guys and gals that are struggling, coming out of the military, that are dealing with like homelessness and things like that, from my understanding, correct? They are completely homeless. So, I had a lady that lives on the side of the road down the street from where I live. And about a week ago, I went over to her, and she lives under a tarp. And it just, it's getting cold outside. There's a lot of people out there struggling. And I never see this lady on the side of the road begging. I never see her at a corner asking for money or handouts or anything. And I went and finally talked to her and her name is Linda, and she's probably about early 60s. And I asked her for her story, and she wouldn't open up to me, and she was kind of shut down with me, But I said, well, listen, I just wanted to try to help you. And so, I gave her $100, and I said, hey, we need some more blankets and stuff. And so I just say that to say this, guys, keep your eyes peeled. Obviously, we have to use discernment in certain situations because there's a lot of people out there that do scam, especially in certain, urban cities and stuff like that. But it's getting cold outside. There's a lot of people that are genuinely suffering. And, so if you get that little something in your gut that says, go ahead and do something about it.
Right.
If you got a little bit here or there, do what you can, even if it's not giving money, give some blankets, do whatever you can, try to hook some people up, because right now, man, it is a struggle. It is a real struggle for a lot of people.
And I'm gonna go further than that. Don't even worry about it being in your gut. Just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is, of course, it's holiday time, and a lot of these people, a lot of addicts, a lot of people struggling with mental health, a lot of homeless people really could use your help. So just, I don't care about that pay it forward stuff. Just go do something for somebody and really help somebody. Let's bring in our guest right now. I want to bring in Gina. Hello, Gina.
Hello.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
Wonderful.
Good. Look, that's that military. Look how he
sits. Thank you. How are you guys?
Look how he sits. Yeah, it's good. Straight up, guys. Thank you so much for joining the show. Of course, we have a really good show lined up for the audience. Before we go into the show, I want to play something. Miss Gina, you sent me this link from a newscast that you had. I don't know how long ago it was, but I'd like to.
It was actually aired on Veterans Day.
For Veterans Day? Yeah, let's play that for the audience right quick. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can share my screen. Bam. Bam. Bam.
Well, today is Veterans Day, and we are honoring current and past members of our nation's armed forces.
A number of events are being held all across the state today. Here's a look at a few of them. A mass and breakfast in Limerick is happening at 8 o'clock, a parade in South Portland, and road rally in Augusta, both set for 10. And Governor Janet Mills plans to visit Farmington at 11:30.
Now, on this Veterans Day, we're learning about one woman from Maine who is making a difference for veterans and their pets.
Good Day Maine's Kara Bracken joins us now live with more on her mission and why it's so unique. Good morning, Kara.
Hey, good morning, Katie and Jeff. Well, Gina Gazzetta, she has more than 30 years in the medical field and grew up in a military family and was really seeing a gap when it came to veterans returning home that transitioned back into civilian life, especially with their pets, which is why instead of just sitting on an idea, she opened up a solution.
Only veterans understand veterans.
Which is why Gina Gazzetta used her own money to open Vets with Pets, a sober living house in Rumford that caters exclusively to 6 male veterans and their animals, the only of its kind in Maine.
And there are men and women out there that will choose to be homeless with their animals.
Not under Gina's watch.
We have beds available right now, 6 beds open and waiting for male veterans to come into the house.
Like Matthew Chapdelaine, better known as Marine.
Some people, they take back to civilian life like a duck to water, but a lot of us just can't make it. In the Marine Corps, I was a severe alcoholic, and I continued to drink when I got out. When I got into this organization, I stopped drinking. I'd probably be in prison if not for her, because I was probably headed there.
Instead, he's well on his way toward becoming a computer wizard / cartoonist, volunteer, and advocate for the mission and person who opened the doors, changing his life for good.
I have a home that I can rely on, and I don't have to worry, and she's the reason I don't have to worry.
Good friends because of this?
Best of friends.
Best friends.
I know we can't help the United States with all of the veterans, homeless, and recovery situations, but I hope that the men that come into my house, we can change their lives. I've got your 6.
Now, Gina says if you want to learn more about their mission, if you're interested in donating, or if you
So-
or someone you do know needs a little help, extra help right now.
First off, I have a question for you, Miss Gina. How
Ask
does
away.
it feel to be amazing? I'd like to know.
Thanks.
How does it
It's
feel?
just, it's not me. It's what I needed to do. I had seen over the many years of my medical field how poorly the veterans were treated in VA facilities, and in the recovery world, how veterans just don't have the help that they need. And this house just happened to fall into my lap. It needed a wrecking ball when I got it, but we've turned it into a very nice home. And
Yeah.
I just hope to be able to get men in there that really have a need for the house.
How long have you been doing this?
I signed the papers on September 11th, 2019, and it was up and running for veterans. Well, it's taken about 2 years to get it up and running and to where it's completely livable now for everybody.
Like, so before you guys joined, Brandon and I, we just, talked about and tried to encourage the audience and people watching to do something for someone. And of course, everywhere that we live now, homelessness is just, skyrocketing. So we try to encourage people to reach out, maybe give some food, give some money, or do something for someone that is in need and is struggling. And this is what you guys do on a daily basis. So first off, as a recovering addict, I like to say thank you. Okay, thank you. If nobody tells you, thank you for helping out and actually caring for the community and doing something. Well, a lot of people talk, a lot of people want to do something, but you guys are actually doing something. So kudos to you. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go into this. PTSD and substance abuse. PTSD. Miss Gina,
Yes.
You run across a lot of guys, a lot of people, I believe, that struggle with PTSD.
Myself included.
Yourself included?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that if you don't mind.
Well, mine is from a domestic violence marriage and destroyed me. I was at rock bottom. I ended up homeless. I lost my children. I mean, you name anything that could happen did happen.
Right.
And the only thing that I come from a long line of addicts. I just didn't choose to do drugs and alcohol, but my addictions came in other forms.
Really?
But so yeah, I came from absolute nothing, and my divorce was October 17th, 2007 at 10:24 a.m. Kind of one of those important things that you remember. And I've built myself back up. I own a small farm now. I own Vets with Pets. I'm a productive member of society. Do I still have flashbacks all the time? Not so much in Maine, because most of my trauma happened in Rhode Island. Can't go there. And I know how to deal with men and women because I am a Marine brat. I grew up with it. I know how to deal with people and their traumatic past, and I know what triggers they have, and I try to avoid them. I don't sneak up on military people for obvious reasons. I have been trained how to get out of headlocks from men that have PTSD and revert back to their training of boot camp when they were in war. So you have to be on guard, but you also have to know how to handle the situations, and it's not easy.
So you guys came up with a genius idea, because in America we love our pets.
Right.
So you guys decided, and tell me how y'all worked that out. You said you're going to bring in the actual veteran with their pet, right? Is that what
Right.
happened?
Well, that's the whole thing, is that there are men and women that are out on the street and their animal has been their whole family, their life,
Yeah.
their whole reason for existing, and what has kept them wherever they are. That animal is their family. And I'm not going to make them give up their family to
Right.
be able to come into a warm, safe environment that they can call home. I
Right.
won't do that. I'm not going to make them take their animal to a shelter or whatever. They're
Right.
going to come in and they're going to have a place. And I would love to expand and get house for women. And I'd
Right.
love to get some land and be able to put tiny houses up so that
Yeah.
they've got long-term housing, because the VA will build the tiny houses. They don't have any place to put them. So why not make a village?
Yeah.
Man.
How are you dealing with this? I guess you could say the outreach and the screening process of actually being able to find the people in need. How are you doing that?
This is a hard thing. I contact all kinds of VA representatives. I've contacted case managers throughout the entire state. I do a lot of outreach. I do a lot of Zoom meetings. It's very hard because, unfortunately, the recovery world and sober living houses can pop up like this, and they're not MAT certified, which is medical assisted treatment. They're not screened. They're just some guy that got a house, threw some beds in, threw some dressers in, and calls it sober living. Mine have Narcan. I have CPR masks. I'm CPR and first aid certified. I obviously have 30 years in the medical field, but I make sure that my guys are safe. But I'm not nursing home level of care. So I've got some rules. They have to be ambulatory. They have to be continent. They have to take their own medications. There has to be some rules set, because I'm not nursing home level of care. And if you can't, my house is built in the 1700s. It's not ADA certified. It doesn't have wide enough doors. It doesn't have ramps. It doesn't have, all these bells and whistles. So I have to stick. I try and shoot for Desert Storm and after guys. That is my target audience.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
That means
so you're talking about a certain
Desert
age?
Storm. Right, about
enrollment
60,
period.
Right, from about 60, 55 and younger, because Vietnam and everything, they've had their chance to get the help that they need. And I understand there's still a lot of Nam guys out there that are homeless. That's not that's not where I can do my best. Those are not the men and women that I can work with the best and make the most impact. I want Desert Storm guys and after. And I would love to open a house for women too, and be able to do it for the women too.
I wish we had Hope Dilla on this thing, because Hope Dilla would pray that thing into existence, man. Shout out to Hope Dilla.
What's up, man?
Right now, he would stop.
He's doing it anyway.
Start
He's
praying
doing it
it
anyway.
into existence,
Yeah.
straight up. And we're going to believe for you whatever the recovering addict can do when it comes to promotion, or when it comes to just getting the word out. We would love to be a part of that, because this is beautiful work you're doing in the community. Mr. Tim, I see you over there looking like a Marine. See you over there looking straight
Perfect
up.
posture.
Schwarzenegger. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, man, we're doing good. You want to jump in this PTSD conversation that we're talking about right now, man?
Yeah, like we spoke before we started recording. When I came home, 96 and end of 95, right before 96, PTSD was not an active treatment for veterans getting out of any wars at that time. Like Gina did say, I mean, they knew about it, but they weren't actively pursuing getting the help needed by veterans coming off of traumatic experiences. In the first 3 months when I came home, it was like a decompression time for me, just to readjust. I went back to my mother's house, and I lived with my mom, and she made sure I was comfortable and gave me my old bed from high school back. So I had my old room back. So everything was familiar to me back again. And after that 3-month kind of decompression, a lot of things started to hit me. Like I got to get a job now. I'm not a Marine no longer. I have to actively take care of myself as far as financially and mentally. And, I wasn't, like I said, I had bipolar and I was not on my bipolar medicine. And serving in the Marines amplified my bipolar by 10 times easily.
Really?
My ups were extremely high. And in the Marines, they want you to be up all the time, almost on a psychotic level as far as being ready to deploy and to do anything that they ask you to do at a drop of a hat, and no thinking about what they're asking you to do. There's a saying in Marines where, you used to say, look before you jump. Well, the Marines say jump first and look to see what you're going to land on. So they wanted you, no questions asked, to do what they asked you to do. And I had to go from that to actively, just walking into a grocery store and looking around and seeing people acting as civilians threw me off, because I was used to everybody being locked on in a certain mindset. And, I would catch myself, oh, look how that person's dressed, and look how that person's walk. Oh my God, that person just walked on the grass. Like, like weird things that they I'm not going to say brainwash, but they kind of do.
No,
they do.
They break it down and build you up to the way that they want you to be.
Stuff.
It is. And
what is that movie by with Denzel Washington?
Saving Private Ryan?
No, that's
not
that's
Denzel.
not Denzel Washington. Not friend. That's Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
we're talking about. Oh my goodness, the movie Brandon, when they brainwashed him.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Denzel Washington, the brainwash army movie. Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. Yes. But it sounds to me, Tim, that you can't be the only veteran that struggles with PTSD. Of course not. Mental health issues. And you were talking about bipolar. How did the service trigger your I guess bipolarness? Is that what
well, I mean, when you have bipolar, you have extreme highs and extreme lows. So when I get depressed, it's not like you're sad for a day or two. It could last a month, and it could be a week where I don't get out of bed. I don't want to take a shower. I don't want to brush my teeth. Like it's an extreme low. And my highs would be, I'd be on for 5 or 6 days, like I was doing drugs. Like I wouldn't be able to stop. I wouldn't be able to sleep. My mind would be racing. My thoughts would be racing. I'd be thinking about what I had to do the next day, and I would do them overboard. If I had to clean the house, I wouldn't just clean the house. I'd move furniture. I'd clean underneath. I would just go extremely overboard of what a normal person would do.
Right.
What was your lowest point that you got to in this journey when you came back home? What was the lowest point that you got to in your struggle with that mixture of the PTSD, the bipolar, and just everything? Of course, addiction grabbing you, those kinds of things. What was your lowest point?
So my lowest point, and this is actually the first time I'm saying this, so my mother's probably going to hear this, but it's fine because I've been coming out very openly and transparent about my past. But at 20 years old, when I was at my mother's house, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was extremely depressed. And I went into my stepfather's armoire, and I opened up and I grabbed his gun. And I put it on my lap, and I sat there, and I was contemplating using it. And I had called my girlfriend at the time, and I told her what I was doing. And within 5 minutes, she was at the house. That was the first time I knew that I was starting to actually have symptoms of PTSD, and it was starting to affect my life outside of being in the military. I had gotten depressed before in high school, and because my bipolar, but at that point, that was the lowest I had ever been in my life at that point. And I was only 20 years old. I was drinking at that time to mask my emotions. I wasn't taking my medicine for bipolar, so I was drinking and drugging at the same time. I was medicating myself, and that was for me at the earliest age of 20. That was the first time I contemplated committing suicide.
And didn't you say there was a second time that you tried that as well?
Actually, unfortunately, there was 3 times.
Three times
within my addictive career. About 3 years ago, when I was unfortunately addicted to pain medicine, I had 7 surgeries within 3 years. 3 of them came from mixed martial arts. Had 2 neck surgeries, a rotator cuff, 2 hernia surgeries, and that was all through training and just breaking my body down. And like I said, I was taking pain medicine, and I had taken 18 Percocets, and I drank a 12-pack of beer.
Wow.
And I just did not want to wake up. And I remember praying, please don't let me wake up tomorrow. I don't want to wake up like this anymore. And I woke up. And let's pause right there, because I'm about to cry. And I do not want the audience to see my vulnerable side. Well, this is how real it is.
Percocet is Oxycontin, am I right?
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Okay. And just for the audience, and here's a little promotion, guys. Next week we are going to be talking about overdosing. We're going to be, and the name of the show is called Holy Trinity. We're going to be talking about Percocet and the mixture with Xanax, and what's the other one, Brandon?
Soma usually, or Flexmo.
Yeah, the Holy Trinity. I just wanted to stop the commercial break, and we're going to bring it back in. All right, Miss Gina.
Yes.
Miss Gina, you deal, listening to Mr. Tim, you deal with these issues with the people who stay at your houses, right?
Absolutely, yes.
How do y'all handle it? Like, what do y'all have in place to handle these mental problems that veterans come with?
Is there any fail safes that you can have in place for that?
Well, I obviously have people do and relapse. Bad word, I know. I have Narcan in the house. I'm on a first name base with the fire chief. They have all of my passcodes to get in every door to be able to get to anybody in case there's an emergency. I don't live really close to the house. I live 45 minutes away, but I do have somebody within a 2-minute jolt to be there in emergency purposes. And I have a full-time Marine is the full-time house manager, and he is sober. We're MAT certified, so we allow medically assisted treatment, meaning medical marijuana or Suboxone, because if you got a doctor that's saying that this is going to help you with your recovery, I'm not going to tell you you can't do it. We have a house meeting once a week where we air issues, because if you're pissed off with the other guys you're sharing a house with and you don't get that aired out pretty fast, it can go downhill quick. So we have that, and I try and keep up with the guys on a much more regular basis than once a week, just to keep eyes and ears open, because if you're not catching the cues early, it could spiral quick.
And I wanted to add to this too, Gina. You had mentioned earlier that what had sort of driven you in this direction was that you had dealt with this with your father, correct?
Yes, my stepfather did 28 years in the United States Marine Corps. My father did 4 in the Navy, and he did 2 or 3 tours in Nam. And he is a destroyed man. He spent 28 years in the United States Marine Corps because he couldn't go anywhere else. He couldn't get hired somewhere. He couldn't function in society. The only people that would take him were the people that broke him. And so I, over the years, have developed, being a Marine brat, have developed a very close bond. I understand their language. They understand mine. and I'm able to meet them where they are, and on a different level than somebody else that doesn't have the understanding of why I picked this population to work with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I have a background as a Department of Homeland Security officer for a little over 10 years, and I can say this, you know, and to actually address both of y'all that are with us here is, I saw this a lot. A lot of my supervisors, managers were all ex-Marines, ex-Army, ex-Air Force, ex-Navy, and our agency was sort of a stepping stone out of service for a lot of guys. You know, they had to get a job. They were going to go into a government position. And, you know, in a lot of cases, they assimilated very well. But in some cases, you could tell they still felt like they were in the mix. You know what I mean? And it was, you could see it. You could, you know, like you mentioned, Tim, about noticing things like the grass and certain little things. I saw that all the time. And actually, after a while, when your bosses are all built like this, and I was an Air Force brat myself, your brain gets calculated in that way. You address people very much in a specific way. And it took me a while after 10 years getting into the regular private sector to get used to addressing people differently. I was a very vocal person. I was one of those kind of people that you listen to what I had to say because I was giving orders. You know,
so
I dealt with
change for that because I'm definitely.
I did.
No,
yeah,
you didn't.
Shut up.
No, you didn't.
I've changed a lot.
No, you
yeah.
Go ahead and continue. I just wanted to put that out right there.
Yeah, for real. Seriously, but seriously, like, you know, I ended up going into management roles after I got out of the government, and I noticed that I had to work on handling people very differently because, you know, I used to handle processing military guys that were coming in from overseas, and it was a bit of an adjustment because I was so used to a specific mindset. Everything was very structured, and I used to ask when I could go to the bathroom, you know, and that was just the way it was. And so when I got into my other jobs, my bosses were like, "Why are you asking me whether or not you can go to the bathroom?" You know. And I was like, well, I thought we had to do that, you know, and I was constantly watching my watch, you know. I mean, I used to do a 3:30 a.m. start shift. There was things that you just get used to in your mind. You're used to that structure all the time, and it's hard to relax. It's hard to rest. It's hard to not constantly. I mean, I used to wake up a few minutes before I was supposed to be up because I had trained my body to constantly do that, you know, and it was a major adjustment. So I completely understand that. And Tim, you know, I wanted to add to your discussion earlier. You were talking about the whole thing with getting near the suicide situation. You know, one of my best friends, John, great guy. He had a family, 2 kids, wife. A couple years ago, you know, his whole life he had dealt with bipolar disorder and addiction, and he got into a big fight with his wife, and then went downstairs in the basement and got up on a chair and he hung himself and left his wife and 2 kids alone. And, you know, I look at that and I think to myself, you know, and 6 months before that, I lost one of my other friends from high school from committing suicide as well. And, you know, it's amazing when you get into that situation, the depression, mix it with bipolar and addiction. You know, if you could interview those people outside of those low moments and say to them, warn them in advance, hey, you got this moment coming where it's going to get too much. So you need to get some help before you get in that situation because you can't come back from it. If we could if it was possible to capture that moment and to say, let me give you a warning and a heads up, that would be so powerful. And that's exactly what we're doing here right now. Right. Don't let yourself get to that moment where you've gone too far because you cannot come back from that. Mm-hmm. And it's not that we're not acknowledging that those moments are going to hit and that it is going to be excruciating and you got to walk it out. But the only way you can walk it out is by getting help and making sure you're not secluding yourself in those moments, because we all know addiction is all about seclusion a lot of the time. When we're struggling, we don't feel like we want to open up. We don't want to tell anybody about it. I mean, Gina, you're talking about, putting those fail safes in, because these guys, when they're in their lowest moments, they're probably not going to pick up the phone and say, hey,
Oh, yeah.
Gina, I'm struggling, because these guys are used to making sure that they're having to man it up. They're having to make sure they don't talk to nobody, and they're just having to tough it out. I'm sure, Tim, you're familiar with that as well. For one, the role of guys is oftentimes to say, hey, I got to tough this out. I don't want to show my weakness anyway, so.
Right. Brandon, hold on. Let me go ahead and give you a hand right quick, Brandon. Like, what's going on with you, man? Like, you got that fire in you right now, man.
You struck a nerve with this topic. I'm telling you, it really means a lot to me. It really does. And I'm so glad you guys are on here.
Hold on, guys. Thank you so much for watching The Recovering Addict. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your support. If you would like to share your story with us, we would love to hear it. We would love to share it with our audience. So we have a way that you can do that. You can take a video, 1 to 3 minutes, and share your story with us and send it to the Recovering Addict life@gmail.com. We will play that story. If you give us your permission, we'll play that story, or you can type it up and email it to us, and we will read that story for you. Thank you guys so much for watching The Recovering Addict. Let's get back into this. Mr. Tim.
Yes, sir. I'd like to actually say something about what Brandon just said.
Go ahead.
Now, I wish it was that easy, Brandon, that we could go and tell them that they're about to go in this lowest low and help them. But as we all know, as recovering addicts, you could talk to them to the blue in the face. You could lead them to that door of the recovery home. But until they want it, it's on deaf ears. Now, my childhood friend that I grew up with, who actually got me into rehab, his name's Brandon Novak. He's one of the members of Jackass. And 4 years ago, he had came to my house. This is when he had 2 years sober. And he's sitting there talking to me, and he's got his phone up, and he's like, I'm going to call right now. I can get you on this plane tomorrow. As I'm drinking a beer, telling him, no, I got this, man. I'm only drinking those 6 beers a day. I'm good. And he's saying this in front of my family, my 3 daughters and my wife. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I got it. There's no big deal. This is how I deal with my situation. Yeah. It wasn't until, like you just mentioned with your friend, that things led up. I was starting to do really bad. I'm a carpenter, so I've been a carpenter for 26 years. I was starting to do bad at work. The boss was starting to notice that my quality of work was going down. I started to call out, which I never call out. I was there every single day, half an hour early. I would work till the end of the day. I was one of the ones that barely took lunch breaks. I just worked. And I had gotten a new truck. I drove to the liquor store. On the way home, I hit something. This is 2 months after having my brand new truck. And I parked the vehicle. And I go in the house and say, I'm going to bed. And I wake up the next day, and I'm like, I'm going to go get some milk and some water. And my wife's like, how are you going to do that? I was like, in my new truck. She goes, go look at your truck in the driveway. So I go out and look at my truck, and the right side of my truck is smashed. The wheels hanging off, side view mirrors hanging off. And she looks out and she said, you got to do something about this. She said, you could have killed somebody last night or yourself, and you wouldn't even have remembered it. She said, you can't stay here right now. You have to go figure this out. So I called my mother, and I wasn't allowed to go to my mother's house. And things are bad when mom doesn't let you in the house. So I called my friend, and he said, sure, come on over and spend the night for a couple nights. So I go to his house, and his bright idea to deal with the situation was to go to the bar and get some wings and some drinks. So sure, I went ahead and went and had some wings and some drinks, led into some shots, and on the way leaving the bar, I ran somebody. And I get out, and I asked the guy, are you okay? He said, yeah, I'm okay. I said, well, your car looks fine. Front of my truck was smashed. Like, I smashed the whole bumper. And I said, well, you're okay. Your car's okay. And I slapped him on the back, and I rolled out. Thank God I didn't get in trouble. Unfortunately, I did that, but I was drunk at the time. I knew the ramifications of what was going to happen. I was going to go to jail, and I didn't want to do that. It wasn't until that following couple days later where I had slept in my truck for 2 days. And it was the end of February, and it was freezing here in Maryland. It was about 30 degrees. And I was drunk. I was tired. I was hungry. And I had turned my phone off for 48 hours because I didn't want to deal. I did that seclusion. I didn't want to deal with anybody. I didn't want to deal with anything. I just wanted to wallow in my own sorrow and make it worse, basically, because that's what we do. We make it worse.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. I turned my phone on at 7 after 10. And at 9 after 10, my friend Brandon calls me. 2 minutes later, after having my phone off for 48 hours, and he says, Lodgen, what the F are you doing? And I said, man, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm tired. And he said, good. He said, that's what you need. He said, I talked to your mother and your wife. I have a plane ticket for you tonight at 8:30. Get on that plane and it will save your life. My wife called about 30 minutes after that and says, please come home. I talked to Brandon. Come take a shower, try to eat something. Everything's going to be okay. So I go home and I couldn't eat. My stomach was all messed up. I've been drinking for 2 days. My mind was racing. I was scared about going to rehab.
That's a scary thing.
And I went into the basement and I found myself standing on a bucket with a rope around my neck. And I guess it got quiet because my wife didn't hear anything. And she came down the steps and she looks at me and she says, what are you doing? And I just said, I can't do this anymore. I said, I just want the pain to stop. And she looks at me and she said, please, Tim, please get down. Do you know what this will do to your children? Please, you can get help. We can go through this. Just please get down. So I got down and I balled up into a little ball and I cried and I got upstairs and I jumped in the shower. And this was only like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I had 4.5 hours before that plane left. And I sat in the bed and just thought about everything that I have gone through and all the pain I have caused myself and my loved ones. And I called my friend and I said, hey, I'm ready. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to kill myself, and I don't want to do that. So he says, look, call me when you get past security at the airport, because I want to make sure you're actually getting on the plane. You're not just, you're not blowing smoke up my ass. Right. So I get past the airport and I get past security. I check my bags and I sit down and I call him and he said, I'm proud of you. I love you. Everything is going to be okay. And I hung up the phone. And for the first time in my life, I had this overwhelming, calming feeling come over my entire body. And something in my head said, it's going to be okay. I will never forget that feeling for the rest of my life. It was a feeling of hope and courage and just, I'm not going to die from this addiction. I'm not going to die from my mental health issues. I can actually get help and change my life. Going from that deepest, darkest place in my head that I hope no one ever gets to, because it is scary.
It is very scary.
It is really scary, especially when you're by yourself. You can't get those thoughts out of your head. And unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, you let them take over and you listen to them. I was fortunate enough to have somebody that loved me interact and come down and save me. And I was fortunate enough to have a childhood friend that had the ability to get me into a rehab center. And that's why I want to do these podcasts, because there's a lot of people out there that feel alone. They feel as if they don't have any help out there and that they are suffering by themselves when they are not. There are a lot of people out there suffering with this, and they need to know that everything is going to be okay. And there is help out there for whatever you need help for. You can find it.
Thank you for sharing that.
I wrote something earlier. I want to read it. There's a war that goes on within each and every addict. We are all battle tested. Some of us lose our lives in the fight. Some of us throw in the towel and succumb to the deadly struggle. Yet, some of us choose to leave it all at the front line and conquer the quest. No matter what the cost, we must remember that we are warriors. And it is an honor to fight next to such brave souls. We are forever connected, recovering addicts.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Dang, man. I think I need to take a break on that.
Gina, I just want to say this, that, well, really both of you. I mean, look at the symbiotic relationship here of how this connects. I mean, Tim, it's a burden on your heart because you've been through it. Gina, I know you're hearing this and it's making perfect sense it's also probably clicking with you going, man, I'm right where I need to be because this is exactly what it's all about. And, it's these kind of stories that Tim has gone through as to why you are so needed, Gina, and why others out there, if you're in another city, I mean, Gina is honestly, and I'm not trying to belittle what you're doing, you're a spot on a map because we need more of it. You know what I'm saying? And I know your heart is to go beyond this, to go beyond your world because, and I know, I mean, so my mom lives up in Pennsylvania. I know the cost of real estate up there is dramatically more than it is here in a lot of cases. And like you said, the house you're using, you had to go through a big restoration process, and it was built in the 1700s. Out here, we had the oldest houses we have, maybe 1880s, but we still, have to go through that same process here. So I understand that, finding real estate, finding ways to expand, getting funding. Rich and I have been through a small hell getting everything in place and going through meeting after meeting after meeting to set up our 501c3, having meetings about the planning process and getting the staffing, getting the funding, coming up with ways that we're going to be able to explain our path so our 501c3 can be approved. There is so much more than, hey, I have a great idea, I got to do it. You know what I mean? And then you got to find the people, the collective, to say, hey, do you want to jump on board? Do you want to dedicate hours, days, and weeks and months of your time for free? I mean, that's hard to get, but it's got to be something that hits you in the heart. It's like you said, Tim, until you're ready to say, I'm going to do something about it.
Right.
It doesn't matter, and so that's like, I mean, it means a lot to me that you guys are here saying, listen, I'm going to take my time and give my time to share and to reach out and to do what we can to come up with a plan to help people because there's not a lot of people that have this burden, and so there's a lot of people getting lost in the mix right now, and they really do feel like they probably are alone. And they're not. We're here, we're out there, but it's hard to find us. It's hard to find people that have that heart that say, hey, by the way, I do have something over here for you, And so, Gina, if you're listening out there and you have this similar idea, please, please, please reach out to us.
Miss Gina, you're not a talker. What I mean by that is a lot of people talk about this, about recovering and about helping people and and trying to be of some assistance. You're not a talker, you're a walker.
A doer.
And me personally, I have to tell you, thank you for not being a talker. And I'm not, trying to down anyone who, talks about recovery and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to encourage my sister. I'm trying to let you know that you are amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, you're absolutely amazing. What you're doing is amazing. Do you have any of those pets around? I haven't heard any dogs.
Yeah, here's Antonio. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here.
Uh-oh.
Ugh. This is Antonio. He's the one you saw on the TV.
Hello,
Hold
Antonio.
on. I'll go get Theodore. Give me 1 second.
Theodore. Wow. We're just gonna let this just, you know what I'm saying, just
let it simmer.
Simmer for a minute.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much, audience. Thank you so much for watching. This is a very powerful show. It is a very emotional show. And yeah.
So this is Theodore?
This is Theodore.
You said he's a chug. A Chihuahua pug. Yeah.
Yep. Antonio's an Australian cattle dog.
Yeah, he looks like he barks a lot. Looks like an ankle biter.
He is.
Yeah.
Your ankles are not safe around him. Trust me.
I can tell. He looks like an ankle biter.
No, I would like to say, Gina, thank you for all of us.
Oh, thank you for your service and my freedom.
It is amazing that you are taking your time and helping veterans that need help, because a lot of us are lost and we don't know where to go. And the fact that you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart is amazing.
And I didn't do it with any money, any help from anybody. All my own credit cards. I didn't get one loan. I didn't get one federal dollar. I did it on my own. There were weeks that we spent 80 hours a week in that house for months getting it ready to be open. So.
Amazing.
Tim.
Yes.
Anything else you want to share, man? I mean, like the floor is really yours right now. You actually stole my show. I'm just gonna let you know that this is supposed to be my show, and you stole it. Forget about Brandon right now. You stole the show, and I need you to steal it some more. I need you to send these people off with something.
Well, look, man, it's like this. I'm 45 years old, and for 27 years of my life, I wasted it. Now, when I first got sober, I dwelled on the fact that for 27 years I was an addict, alcoholic, and I'm just now starting to realize that was in my higher power's plan for me to experience 27 years of hardship, to get the message that he's trying to send me, that my purpose now is to get the message of hope out there, is to get that message to those who are suffering, that your chapter of your book does not have to end with you taking yourself out. You can flip that page and start a new page on that next chapter, and it can be a wonderful ending to your book. I did a podcast 2 weeks ago, and my goal was just to help one person. That honestly, if I could get one great feedback, I felt as if I helped somebody. And kind of gives me chills right now, because I had gotten a phone call from a Marine that I had served with in 1995. I haven't spoken to this gentleman in 25 years. He got my phone number off of Facebook. And I'm actually sitting in a parking lot about to pick up a table to go delivered to Wilmington, Delaware, to a recovery house full of gentlemen that my friend asked me to do for, to help them out. And I said, absolutely, I'll come and do it for free. It's going to a good cause. There'll be a lot of gentlemen sitting around this table talking about recovering and getting their lives together. I would gladly do that for you, because I have a pickup truck and he'd have no way to do it. As I'm sitting there waiting for the gentleman to come out to open the garage to get the table out, my phone rings, and it says Tony. And I'm like, Tony, because in the Marines, we called each other all by our last names. It was very rarely that we knew our first names unless we were a really close-knit group of people. And then we would call each other from the first names. I'm like, man, there's only one Tony that I know in my entire life. And that was my buddy from the Marine Corps. So I pick it up, and there was this voice on the other end of the phone of hopelessness, desperation. And he said, Tim. And I said, Tony? And he's like, yeah. He said, remember me? And I was like, Prophet from the Marine Corps? And he goes, yeah, man. And I said, what's up? You don't sound too good, man. He's like, I just wanted to tell you that I listened to your podcast last week, and you saved my life.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? And he said, I've been addicted to pain pills for 18 years. And he goes, and I've been sober for 5 days now. And it's been the 5 days after I listened to your podcast. He said, I hurt my family, my kids, my friends. He's like, and I don't want to do this anymore. He said, I want to be a better human being. And he said, and listening to what you had to say has given me the hope to beat this addiction. And that was 2 weeks ago. I have spoken to him every single day since, and he is now 14 days sober. Now, I'm not trying to take any credit by any means whatsoever. But from going to where I wanted to end my life to possibly helping somebody else's, talk about humility. I have been so humbled by this experience of sobriety and the gift to be able to give it to somebody else that possibly needed to hear that to save their lives. There is no price tag I can put on that. There's no amount of prayers I could say that haven't been answered in these almost 10 months of sobriety that have been given to me. It's just amazing how everything has gone from so dark and bleak and dooming to so bright and happy, and possibility of my future is endless. You know, they always say, oh, you make your life what you want it to be. But now I finally see that.
You know, I occasionally, and I don't want this to sound weird, but I occasionally thank my addiction struggle. Here's what I mean by that. Because if I did not have that struggle, then we would not be here right now. Make sense? So I'm like, I weigh it. I'm like, I would never, like you said, I would never wish this and want anyone to go through the torture. That's the word that I use. It is torture. Addiction is torture.
Living hell.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I am where I want to be in regards to my life and what I can give and what we can give to people. And if we, Brandon and I, and all of us recovering addicts, if we had never gone through this, then we would not be able to help. So I occasionally say,
we look at, if I could chip in on that, Rich, I mean, you know, we've addressed it a little bit, well, quite a bit sometimes in other episodes, but, you know, Rich and I have a very unique past that the last 17 years, we've walked through a lot of it together. We've been exposed to a lot of addiction, along with a lot of atmosphere around that addiction that kept driving that addiction even more and more. And we came out of it alive, amazingly. But the richness of what we've learned is certainly worth all the torture we went through, because it got to the point.
That's it.
Where about a year ago, Rich, he and I had talked, and I could see, I mean, I've had my ups and downs over the years, but I could see Rich was slipping away, and it was really scaring the hell out of me.
Right.
And he let me know one day, he's like, I got to go get help. And he did. And I could tell I was this close to losing my brother, and it was scaring the hell out of me. And I mean, he was not hearing me. And I was talking to him, but he was not hearing me. Kind of like you said, Tim, there's just, you got to want it. And I got so excited one day when he realized he wanted it. And then after he came out of that, he was like, we got to do something. And he called me. He's like, we got to do something. And I was like, I don't know if I really have the time, and I don't know if, I can put all my time into it because I've got all this other stuff going on. And then as we started doing it, we started getting responses back. We started hearing people telling us that it was helping them.
Right.
And that was like the fire that lit up underneath me personally. And I was like, crap, I got no business not doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because we are lucky to be alive, and it's time to team up with other people that are going through this journey. And it's time to get real with people. It's time to go ahead and just start drawing that out and talking about it, shifting paradigm, shifting perspective, get rid of the shame of addiction, and start just being willing to say, we got to talk, because that was the biggest thing that we talked about when we did orientation. Our first episode was, it's all about paradigm shift, and it's about deleting the shame and letting people know it's okay to get help. It's okay to talk, because there's a lot of people that are wealthy, a lot of people that have a lot of reputation under their belt, a lot of success under their belt, but they're still struggling with addiction, and they're not willing to get that help because they're afraid of how it's going to make them look. Not realizing though that what's really not looking good is their situation, and so that's the thing. Like we wanted to draw that out, and that's why we're connecting with you guys, and we're trying to hit every one of these topics throughout this journey of every episode. Is we're trying to make sure we're addressing these things and doing exactly what you guys are doing, which is, let's talk, and let's bring it out into the open.
We're gonna wrap this thing up, Miss Gina. We normally hold on one second, guys. Tune in to our episode next week, and we're gonna get super deep. Okay, super deep. Episode 12, we're going to be talking about the Holy Trinity and overdosing, and we may even throw a little religion in there. Okay, guys, so tune in. Thank you so much for listening. Miss Gina, we normally end our show by saying, you are not alone. It's what we normally say. Today, I'd like to end it with I got you six.
I got you six. Yeah. Hey, is there anything that Gina, is there anything you want to say to wrap it up? And then Tim, I want you to say something to wrap it up. Just give us a quick spurt of what your heart is and where you want us to go with you, and how you want us to help you.
Right.
Be a part of what you're doing.
I just want to help the veterans. That's what the whole deal is about. I want to get the guys in the beds and start changing lives.
Yeah.
All right. You're already doing that. So we want to get behind what you're doing. Yes, Rich, do you have that link for people to be able to reach out and help her with what she's doing?
I got it right here. Mr. Tim.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we wish you major success with Pets.
Thank you.
We want to stay in contact with you, and we hope to see your whole entire thing just go crazy and go everywhere, So,
that is the dream.
Yeah, we got to have you. We got to have you back. You got knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and we got to tap. We want to tap into that knowledge more. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, we got to have you back. Tim, you got something to leave them with?
Yeah. First thing I want to say, Gina, you're amazing. Thank you so much for what you're doing for all of us. You truly are a blessing to those that need help. It's completely amazing. And I guess I'll just finish off by letting people know that don't lose hope. Mm-hmm. That word is huge for me because I lost it and it almost took my life. Don't lose hope, and always know that you're not alone. Mm-hmm. We have your six.
Got your six.
Absolutely.
I've got your six. That's all right. All right, guys. Thank you so much, man. Y'all have a great evening.
You too. Thanks.
See y'all next week.
Good night.
All right. Good night.